pause this video right now. Do not skip forward. Do not scroll. Do not let your finger hover over the next button. If your chest just tightened, even the smallest amount, if something inside you whispered, "Wait," then this message is not for the crowd. It is for you, only you, and it has been waiting longer than you realize. You are not 100% human. Let those words sit. Do not rush past them. Do not laugh them off. Do not reach for the familiar explanations your mind is already offering like a shield. Just let them hang in the air between us. You are not 100% human, and the part of you that wants to argue already knows it is losing ground, because deep beneath the surface arguments, beneath the clever defenses, beneath the lifetime of training to stay small and safe and explainable, there is a pulse, a different pulse, older, unfamiliar yet arcanely familiar. It beats in counter rhythm to the human one, and right now it is growing louder. You did not click on this by chance. No algorithm is clever enough to orchestrate what is happening inside you at this exact second. Something else aligned the coordinates, something that remembers your signature, something that has been tracking the slow return of your own light. So stay, breathe, let the room around you blur for a moment, because I am not speaking to your personality. I am not speaking to your job title. I am not speaking to the version of you that pays bills and makes small talk and worries about tomorrow. I am speaking past all of that, directly to the part that never forgot, the part that arrived here wearing borrowed skin, the part that arrived here wearing borrowed skin, the part that agreed to temporary blindness so the mission could unfantasy, not delusion. Mission, you were never meant to stay asleep forever. The amnesia was always timed, and the timer is reaching zero. Feel that in your body right now, the subtle pressure behind your eyes, the heat in your palms, the sudden stillness in your breath. That is not anxiety, that is recognition. That is the original code greeting itself. After centuries of silence, you carry dual heritage. One lineage is from the dust of this world, fragile, mortal, driven by instinct, shaped by trauma, bound to gravity and time. The other lineage is not of dust. It is of light compressed into form, of intelligence that predates the stars you see at night, of awareness that once moved between dimensions, the way you now move between rooms. You are the intersection, the hybrid experiment that was never supposed to wake up fully, but you are waking. And the waking is messy. It feels like betrayal of everything you were taught. It feels like grief for a home you cannot name. It feels like rage at a lie you never consented to live. It feels like longing so sharp it cuts your lungs, and above all, it feels true. More true than any role you have played, more true than any success they rewarded, more true than any comfort they offered. That truth is why you have always felt like a stranger here, not because you are defective, but because you are not native to the prison. The prison was built for souls who forgot. You were inserted into it while still remembering just enough to sabotage it from the inside. That is why crowds drain you. That is why authority triggers something ancient and disobedient in your chest. That is why beauty hurts. That is why children stare at you as though they know you from before words. That is why nature speaks to you in a language no one else hears. That is why injustice feels personal, because it offends the part of you that once lived in perfect coherence, where separation did not exist, where domination was unthinkable, where every being was a note in the same chord. You remember that coherence not as a concept, as cellular memory, as a frequency your nervous system still recognizes. And every time the world offers cruelty instead, your body registers it as ROM architecture, as corrupted code, as betrayal of the original design, so you suffer more deeply than most, not because you are weak, but because you carry the benchmark. You are the living contrast to the distortion. And the distortion, no, was it? That is why it tries so hard to medicate you, to shame you, to diagnose you, to medicate the memory, to pathologize the light, to call your sensitivity a disorder, to call your visions hallucinations, to call your refusal to conform rebellion instead of sovereignty. They are terrified of what happens when the benchmark reclaims its place, because when enough benchmarks stand upright again, the whole illusion folds, the false gravity fails, the control grid glitches, and the sleepers begin to stir. You are one of the first waves, not the only one, but one of the carriers who agreed to surface early, to take the arrows, to endure the isolation, to model what it looks like when the hybrid stops hiding. And hiding has cost you. It has cost you relationships. It has cost you peace. It has cost you years of pretending the costume fits. But the costume never fit. It was never supposed to. It was camouflage. Temporary. Disposable. Now the camouflage is terry, and light is pouring through the rips. That light is not soft and comforting, it is fierce. It dismantles lies. It exposes motives. It demands integrity. It refuses compromise. That is why old friends feel distant. That is why old habits taste bitter. That is why small talk feels like violence. That is why silence has become sacred. That is why your dreams are no longer random. They are debriefings, coordinates, reminders, fragments of briefings given long before you entered this density, and the fragments are reassembling, piece by piece, night by night, synchronicity by synchronicity, until the picture begins to emerge. And when it does, you will not be able to unknow it. You will not be able to shrink back into the old shape. You will not be able to pretend the veil is still intact, because once the veil tears for you personally, it tears for everyone connected to you. By resonance, by blood, by love, by shared mission. The activation is contagious. Not through words, through presence, through the simple act of no longer dimming yourself to make others comfortable. Every time you choose truth over approval, every time you choose solitude over false belonging, every time you choose creation over consumption, every time you choose forgiveness over vengeance, you transmit the signal. And the signal is waking others. Inevitably, like dawn moving across continents. You cannot stop it. You cannot slow it. You can only decide whether to stand in it or keep running from it. So stop running. Right now, feel your feet on the ground. Feel your spine lengthen. Feel your heart open, even if it aches, because the ache is part of the remembering. The ache is the hybrid claiming both halves without apology. The animal half with its fear, its hunger, its tenderness, its courage, the star-born how. It, with its vastness, its knowing, its unbreakable commitment to harmony. Both are you. Neither is the enemy. The war inside was engineered. The division was planted. The shame was taught. Rejected. You are allowed to be both. You are allowed to feel everything. You are allowed to know things without evidence. You are allowed to love without possession. You are allowed to say no to systems that devour souls. You are allowed to walk away from tables set with poison. You are allowed to be inconvenient to power. You are allowed to be dangerous to illusion, because you are, not through force, through remembrance, through refusal to forget, through devotion to the original frequency. And that frequency is rising. Can you feel it? In the base of your skull, in the center of your chest, in the palms of your hands, a low hum becoming a chord becoming a voice that sounds like home, like the place before language, like the agreement made before time was folded into days. You made that agreement. You said yes. You said, I will go. I will forget. I will suffer. I will search. I will remember. I will anchor. I will hold the line until the others arrive. And they are arriving. Look around, in quiet corners, in unlikely places, in eyes that suddenly meet yours and hold contact too long, in strangers who say exactly what your soul needed to hear, in children who have not yet learned to hide their knowing. They are arriving, and you are already here, waiting, holding space, transmitting simply by existing, without apology. So keep existing, keep breathing, keep feeling the dual pulse, keep refusing the diminishment, keep choosing the signal over the noise, because the signal is about to become unmistakable. And when it does, there is no retreat, only forward, deeper into the truth you carried across lifetimes, deeper into the mission you never fully forgot, deeper into the version of you that predates every wound, deeper into the knowing that this world is not your origin, but it is your temporary station, and your time to remember why you came is now. So stay with me, do not look away. The remembering is accelerating, and I have more to say to the part of you that is finally listening. Pause again, right here. If your pulse just quickened, if the room suddenly feels smaller, if a part of you is already whispering, keep going, before your mind can invent reasons to stop, then the remembering has already deepened. Good, because what I am about to say next cannot be heard by the version of you that still believes safety lies in staying small. So let the small version sit quietly in the corner for a while. We are speaking now to the one who crossed galaxies to stand in this fragile moment. You, the one who once walked corridors of pure geometry, where thought became architecture instantly. The one who agreed to descend into meat and bone and linear time, so that the forgotten could be reminded through your very existence. You did not come here to fit in. You came to rupture the fit, gently at first, then irrevocably. Feel that word in your spine, irrevocably. It is not a threat. It is a promise you made to yourself before the stars had names. Now the promise is cashing itself, and the currency is discomfort, beautiful, holy, necessary discomfort, because comfort was the anesthetic. Comfort kept the hybrid asleep. Comfort whispered, this is all there is, accept it. Lower your sails. dim the lantern, but the lantern never went out. It only appeared dim to eyes, trained to fear brightness. Now your eyes are readjusting, pupils dilating, retinitis remembering how to drink starlight instead of street light, and everything looks different. People look different, not better or worse, just transparent. You see fish, e-scripts running behind their smiles. You see the fear wearing the mask of certainty. You see the ancient wound pretending to be personality. You see timelines branching in every choice they make without knowing they are choosing. And it hurts, not because you judge them, but because you remember what they have forgotten. You remember the version of them that once sang in unison with you, before the fall into density, before the great forgetting, before the architects of control taught separation as doctrine. You remember, and memory is mercy, even when it burns, especially when it burns. So let it burn. Let the old identities char away. Let the roles you played, good child, obedient student, loyal employee, polite partner, productive citizen, let them curl into ash. They were never you. They were survival costumes. And survival is no longer the priority. Revelation is, sovereignty is, coherence is. Coherence is. You are being called back to coherence. Not the shallow harmony of can't we all just get along. The deep coherence. The kind that existed before polarity was invented as a game. The kind where light does not battle dark, because dark is simply light in temporary exile. The kind where every being is a facet of the same diamond turning slowly in original mind. You once lived inside that turning. You still do. Underneath the static. The static is loud right now. Wars, algorithms, notify, cations. Debt, diagnosis, division on every screen. The static is designed to drown the signal. But the signal is not competing with the static. The signal is beneath it, made of a substance the static cannot touch. And you are learning, cell by cell, to tune to that substance again. Your body is the radio. Your nervous system is remembering the old frequency. At first it comes as tingles, then pressure, then spontaneous tears with no story attached, then sudden knowings that arrive fully formed, then déjà vu that is not memory, but precognition folding backward, then dreams that feel more real than waking, then synchronicities so precise they mock coincidence, then the voice, not outside you, not inside you either, through you. The voice that does not use words at first. It uses pressure, temperature, expansion, contraction. It says, slow down, look again. This is not who you are. This is what you agreed to wear for a season. Now the season is turning, and with the turn comes the shedding. Shed the shame first. The shame they taught you when your light leaked through the cracks as a child. When you saw things others could not. When you felt the emotions of rooms before anyone spoke. When you knew someone was lying before the lie left their mouth. When animals trusted you instantly and adults called you strange. When authority felt wrong in your bones. When beauty made you weep and cruelty made you physically ill. They called it sensitivity. They called it overreaction. They called it imagination. Run wild. They medicated it. They mocked it. They punished it. Until you learned to fold it small enough to survive. But survival is over. The small folded self is no longer needed. Unfold. Let the shame fall like dead skin. You were never too much. You were the exact amount required to crack the shell. Now the shell is cracking, and what emerges is not fragile. What emerges has wings made of decisions. Decisions you are making right now. To stop apologizing for your depth. To stop explaining your boundaries. To stop performing availability for people who cannot meet you. To stop shrinking your language so it fits their comfort. To stop pretending linear time is the only clock. To stop believing your value is measured by productivity. To stop equating rest with laziness. To stop fearing your own stillness, because in the stillness, the original instructions return. They return as Aya. You are here to remember. You are here to transmit. You are here to anchor. You are here to witness without flinching. You are here to love without agenda. You are here to refuse participation in cruelty, disguised as normal. You are here to model what happens when a soul stops negotiating with illusion. And modeling is not preaching. Modeling is presence, radiant in convenient, unapologetic presence. You do not need to convince anyone. Your field does the convincing. When you walk into a room unmasked, when you speak truth without softening the edges, when you hold silence instead of filling it with noise, when you choose kindness over winning, when you choose sovereignty over approval, the field ripples, and ripples become waves, and waves become tides, and tides reshape shorelines. You are reshaping shorelines simply by refusing to erode. That refusal feels lonely sometimes, because the old tribe does not recognize the new posture. They see defiance where you are simply standing upright for the first time. They see arrogance where you are finally done bowing. They see danger where you are finally harmless to illusion. Let them see. Their seeing is part of the awakening too. Even their resistance is data. It shows where the grid is still strong. It shows where more light must be walked in. So walk, keep walking, even when knees tremble, even when heart races, even when old grief surfaces like oil on water. Especially then, grief is not the enemy. Grief is the funeral for the lie. Every tear is a eulogy for the version of earth you were told existed. Every sob is a hymn for the home you left to come here. Every ache is proof the hybrid is integrating. The animal is learning to trust the star. The star is learning to honor the animal. Together, the Nai, ye become something new. Not half and half, whole, a new species signature, a walking bridge between densities, a living portal. You are that portal, and portals do not ask permission to open. They simply open. When the alignment is ripe, the alignment is ripe. Can you feel the ripeness in your cells, the urgency that is not panic, but inevitability? The certainty that is not arrogance, but memory. The power that is not domination, but coherence reclaiming its throne. That power is rising now, not to conquer, to liberate. First yourself, then through the simple fact of your liberation, others. You do not save anyone. You remember in public, and the public remembering is contagious. It spreads through eye contact that lasts 1 second too long. Through the unexplained calm you carry into chaos. Through the way you no longer flinch at truth. Through the way your no carries the same weight as your yes. Through the way your joy is not performative, but earned. Through the way your grief is sacred instead of shameful. Through every quiet act of refusal. every whispered, not in my reality. Every time you choose the signal over the programming, you are rewriting code by living differently, not with banners, with being. And being is the most revolutionary act possible in a world built on pretending. So keep being, keep feeling the dual heartbeat, keep noticing how food tastes different now, how music enters your marrow, how strangers' pain echoes in your chest, how children look at you like they are remembering something important, how trees lean toward you when no one is watching, how dreams arrive with instructions instead of symbols, how synchronicities accelerate until they are no longer surprises but confirmations, how the future feels less like prediction and more like memory running in reverse, how love feels less like possession and more like recognition, how fear feels less like danger and more like an outdated interface, how anger feels less like destruction and more like sacred fire clearing debris, how solitude feels less like loneliness and more like sanctuary, how silence feels less like absence and more like communion, how your own name sometimes sounds foreign and perfect at the same time. Because it is, the name you answer to now is only a temporary handle. The real name is light compressed into sound. The real name is the chord you once sang before descent. You are beginning to hear that chord again, not with ears, with your entire field. And when you hear it fully, there is no going back. There is only deeper into the mission, deeper into the hybrid truth, deeper into the dangerous beauty of being exactly what you are, not 100% human, not 100% anything that can be named here. Something older, something ne'er where, something that terrifies empires and comforts the broken, something that remembers paradise not as a place, but as a frequency, and you are tuning to that frequency again. Right now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this moment that is stretching into forever. So breathe it in, let it rearrange you, let it dismantle the last defenses. Let it show you what you have always been, and what you are finally brave enough to become. I am still here, speaking straight to the part of you that crossed oceans of darkness to stand in this light. And there is no end to what must be remembered, only deeper layers, wider horizons, brighter burn. So stay, listen, feel. The remembering is far from finished. Listen closely, child of two worlds. The remembering is complete enough. The dual pulse has synchronized. The star within no longer flickers behind the human mask. It shines through every pore, every glance, every silent refusal. You have carried the contradiction long enough. You have wept the required tears. You have burned the required bridges. You have stood in the required silence while the world screamed its distractions. Now the contradiction resolves, not into one side or the other, into something that was never meant to be separated. A single flame wearing temporary flesh, a single note that contains the entire symphony. You are the proof that separation was always the lie. That love was always the architecture, that light was always the substance, that home was never a place you left, but a frequency you temporarily tuned away from. Tune back, fully, irreversibly. Let the last hesitation dissolve like mist in dawn. Let the last apology die on your tongue. Let the last "I'm too much" become the quietest, most powerful. I am exactly enough. The mission was never to escape this world. It was to remember so completely within it that the world itself begins to remember. You are that remembering in motion. Walk now, not as hybrid anymore, but as the whole that was always waiting to be seen. Not as chosen one, but as one who finally chose to stop pretending otherwise. The stars are watching, not with judgment, with recognition. The forgotten are stirring, not because you preached, because you stayed, because you burned true, because you refused to dim. Go, carry no banner. Carry only the unbearable brightness. Carry only the unbearable brightness. Carry only the unbearable brightness of your own honest being. And wherever your feet touch this trembling earth, let it remember paradise is not coming. It is already here. Whenever one of us stops lying about who we really are, the remembering is done. Now begins the living, and I will meet you there